Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first Friday night wind down here at Spicewood Vineyards. We are in the tasting room, about to take you downstairs to enjoy a little music, wine, and conversation. I hope everybody is getting into their Friday evening, easing in, winding down. Little phone call right there. We're going to turn that off. All right. Why don't you guys come with us? Let's go down and get the night started. Thank you all for joining us on your Friday evening. Shout out to everybody that got to see me on Wednesday off my drive all over the East Texas area, and everybody on Thursday for Shane's delivery. Come on down. If you haven't been down to the barrel room, here we are. Come on. We're going to get started off tonight with a little music. Good friend of mine playing for us tonight, Graham Weber. He has the distinction of being the only artist that's ever played the Chili Cook-Off twice. That's pretty important if you know all of us. We're going to open up some wine tonight. If you want to crack open the rosé, get started, go right ahead. Graham's going to play a few songs. We're going to slide into a tasting, so I'm going to let Graham take it away. Graham, my man, enjoy. I'm going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Oh no, I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm going where the climate suits my clothes. Going where the climate suits my clothes. Going where the climate suits my clothes. I ain't gonna be treated this way. the chilly winds don't blow, and where the chilly winds don't blow, I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm going where the water tastes like wine, going where the water tastes like wine. Down here this water tastes like turpentine. Ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm going down the road, feeling bad, bad, bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. Going down the road, feeling bad. I ain't gonna be treated this way. I ain't gonna be treated this way. I ain't gonna be treated this way. Woo! It's the first time I played into a microphone in a long time. Could have been friends forever. Put them on a shelf, girl. Hope they make the hard times seem better. Maybe they've been harder than you thought they could. But it's clear to me, see it's our song. We're going out. Well, going out is going wrong now. Sitting on your red sandwich stanted. Remember all the good days that we had. Forget about the ones where I woke up sorry. So forget about the reason I made you mad. But it's clear to me, time has come. In the morning I'll be walking toward the sun. In the morning I'll be walking toward the sun. Passing us by, it's just the rest of life. Shove it in the top of your heart. Bear with anything that comes along. Get another nights where you wake up alone, like a mile away when you're not alone. But I promise you, I'll find my way. And you know that I'll be back for you someday. You know that I'll come home for you someday. If time keeps changing you, it's time that changing me. Time changed you, so too, baby. Baby.
babe. Happy to be back here at Spicewood Vineyards. Spent many Saturday out here over the years. This is a song called Haystack. I stared at your front door from the place you left me stranded. Turn and walk the rocks back to curve. All the hope I had found a hole in my back pocket. The one inside my billfold was for her. I stumbled like a fool through the bars and beat up the house. The harlots on the street without a sign. I found the only needle in this haystack of the city. I found what I was after just in time. I was down for the count. I said over and out on my shortwave radio. I gave up on my dreams and the balance beams were 10,000 feet from the floor. My tires went flat and the brim on my hat had been mad down too bad to be restored. But for now, I'm alright, at least for tonight. I won't have to hurt anymore. But for now, I'm alright, at least for tonight. I won't have to hurt anymore.
Ron, music.
Hey,
What is live music? How long has that been?
it's been 4 months.
Has it been 4 months since you played?
Yeah.
Wow. Hope everybody enjoyed a few Graham songs. I know I did. It's been too long. We're gonna talk a little bit more about music and probably drink a lot of wine. If that's okay with you, pay attention. If not, still pay attention. That's okay. So let's talk real quick before we get into some wine. What have you been doing lately? You've just been sitting at home?
A lot of that, yeah. Trying to keep a 5-year-old little girl occupied.
How about that?
Writing. So.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was talking with my wife the other day about how interesting it's going to be in a few months with all this kind of difficult last 4 or 5 months that everybody's been going through. There should be some really good music coming out.
There should be.
There should be some sad songs, man.
Well, there's a lot. I mean, my band has half a record done, so I think a lot of people are going to be rushing to get into studios when it's okay to do that. I know we will. So I've been recording some out in Oak Hill, just me and one other person. Yeah, it should be a nice fertile ground for some new material, I hope.
Oh yeah, I mean, hey, we need to find the bright light, right? Some inspiration, maybe some artistic inspiration might be a good thing coming from that.
So probably a lot of songs like anti-agoraphobia songs.
Yeah, I want to go outside. All right, so I wanted to put it out there. If you're drinking along with us tonight, we are recording this, so you don't have to open all 3 bottles tonight if you don't want to. If you just want to open one and taste along and come back and replay us and check out Graham's music again and look and make fun of me, that's fine. We can do that. We're going to have this recorded, but we would prefer that you drink along with us all night tonight because Graham and I are going to do it. So the first one we're going to pour tonight, and Graham, you want to go ahead and pour it, is our 2019 Grenache Rosé. This is comes from a little vineyard called Farmhouse Vineyards, one of our favorites up in the High Plains. This is really light. I don't know if you can tell from the camera angle how light soft this is. When this was bottled and we brought back into store here a few months ago, the guys didn't have labels on it, and I opened the bottle up and I thought that it was a white wine, and I thought originally that they had done the Sauvignon Blanc in the wrong bottle. And for a few minutes I was really mad, and then I realized it was just yeah. So 100% Grenache, aged entirely in stainless steel. This is picked really early. I probably about 22 bricks, if that means anything to you. Really early in the sugar level, light soft. I mean, look at those colors. It was, I bet it spent 2 or 3 off and ready to go. So it makes for a really nice, soft rosé. We're gonna put Graham on the spot here and do the musician tasting. What do you smell?
Ron, I told you earlier, I don't know anything about wine except for what you tell me.
That's okay. Well, then if you listen to what I tell you, you are listening to what I tell you. Everything you make smells great.
It's the best wine in the world.
It's the best drinkable wine at this right moment. So with Grenache, traditionally, you're going to have a lot of strawberry. You're going to have some other really berry flavors, but traditionally strawberry is the big driver, and that's part about what I love about this wine, because I love strawberry in our wines and our rosé. There's some watermelon notes on the nose there, in the nose, and in the finish. A little cream. We do this entirely in stainless steel. It only spends about 3 or 4 months at the most in the tanks before it's pressed off and bottled, or not pressed off, filtered and bottled and all that stuff. So it makes for a really great little rosé. Cheers. Yeah.
Hey Ron, for those at home that don't know exactly how you make rosé, can you tell them a little bit?
Yeah. So for rosé, what we do is we put it, we leave it out in the sun for about 6 hours. Let it get really spoiled. So what we do for rosé is we bring in the grapes just like we would for a red wine. So we're bringing in Grenache. And we're going to make Grenache rosé. So we really do the same method that we would do with a white wine. We bring that fruit in, immediately press it off the skins so that the juice ferments on its own and it's not able to extract any color or any pigment out of the skins. That's why it's so light, because it spent such a minimal amount of time on the skins before starting fermentation. So there's no way to extract any more color out, and that's part of why we love it. You can make rosé as a freshly pressed off wine. You can bleed off juice into from a big heavy red wine that you want to concentrate that juice, so you make a little rosé. But this is kind of my favorite way to press it, whole cluster press. Everything, don't even take the stems out, just squeeze all that good juice early, get it light and soft, it's really easy to drink in our wonderful heat.
It's delicious.
Okay, so
I noticed the strawberry.
There you go. I had no doubt that you would pick it up. So do you drink a lot of rosé?
I don't, my wife does.
Yeah. I hear that a lot, and I drink a lot of rosé.
It's nice. I mean, I could have this outside. 104,
yeah. really quick segue before we move on to the next one. I love rosé. We used to, back in, I think, 2012, 2013 was the first time we made rosé, and we could not sell it. People would, I would drink it, and my father would sit. He'd come back from the ranch, and he'd have his big beard, his cowboy hat, and he'd look really, Texan. And he'd walk in with a big glass of rosé, and people would be like, who is that? That guy looks out of place. And now we can't keep rosé in stock. Go back 5 years ago, nobody wanted to drink it. So who knows? In vogue. Yeah. All right. You ready to move on to the next one?
Brown, we have some questions.
Got some questions. Let's get some questions.
What is a good food pairing with a rosé?
Well, that's a great question. Usually I like to pair ice cream with red. No, I'm just teasing. Fruit salad is one of my, I'm one of those, my grandmother's from Oklahoma. She had a huge garden. There was always fruit salad. Sometimes she laced it with sugar. Other times it was just regular fruit. Probably not the lacing with sugar kind of fruit salad, but just the regular fruit salad. I think rosé works great with. If you are anywhere near wonderful seafood, to me, red snapper, redfish, they're just really good lean fish with me really does well with rosé. I will drink rosé with anything, but if I'm going to do it, a good piece of fish or a really nice salad. We actually, my wife makes incredible salads, and one of our favorites is watermelon and goat cheese with some arugula, and that works amazing with a light dry rosé like this. We have another question out there, or is everybody tired of hearing me talk about it?
I think that is it for the rosé.
Well, let's move on. If everybody's ready, let's move on to the Tempranillo. If anybody knows me, they know how much I love Tempranillo ad nauseum. I will talk about it all the time. Spent in Spain, studying really hard, learning the language, doing all those things that I was sent over there to do. None of those things that I actually do, but I really found an affinity for Tempranillo. And I was staying up in kind of northwest Spain, northwest of Madrid, a little bit, a town called Salamanca. Supposedly, it's the oldest college town in Europe. I think that makes it really old. I don't know, like 1600s or 17, way older than me. That's pretty old. In fact, there's this building that you go to in Salamanca, and they're like, can you find La Rana, which means the frog? And actually, I don't know if they tell you it's the frog. They're like, find the weird aspect of this building. And it's like a facade of a building that's like 17 or 1800s. And there's all these Gothic skeletons everywhere. And just on one side of the skeleton, there's a little frog. And people will stand there for hours just looking for the frog. So if you want to be a really big jerk, like I did, you'd be like, oh, I see the frog. It's right there. Do y'all see the frog? They didn't like that very much. All right. So the next one we're going to try is our 2017 Tempranillo. My favorite grape in the world, grown by one of our favorite growers, John and Anna. If y'all have paid attention, thank you very much. This is our 2017 Spicewood Tempranillo. This comes from Spicewood Vineyards up near Seagraves and Seminole and all that good stuff there in the south part of the High Plains. This particular little guy won us Best of Class and Double Gold at the San Francisco Chronicle wine competition. That's kind of a big deal, I think. It's like the biggest domestic wine competition in the country. So getting Best in Class, I think, means we have the best Tempranillo in the country. So what that means?
To me, it does.
I mean, I'm going to take that, whether it means that or not. Hopefully, it means that to you. It means that to me. But so this is a huge, big, juicy Tempranillo. It's what I love about the High Plains. You can get all this juicy, wonderful fruit, cherries, all kinds, strawberries, all kinds of good stuff. But it's got layers and layers of oak behind it. So it's not just fruit bomb. It's got a lot of growing up to do. I believe this spent about 11 months on 35% new French, if I'm right, new French oak. I might be wrong. Let's get, why are y'all laughing? Is somebody making fun of somebody?
Nope.
Oh,
You're
okay.
doing great. You're doing great.
They're laughing.
They're making fun of me.
They're making
I
fun
don't
of
know.
Nope.
We're all just jealous about this hair, man. I'm supposed to be the one with the good hair, and you have defeated me today.
This is being locked in your house.
My wife wouldn't let me grow it that long. My mom made me cut it, so I was not quite there, but you look great. What do you smell? What do you smell?
Yeah, like plum, definitely fruit.
That plum is a very big Tempranillo, yeah. So I'm really to this, it's, I don't know how much of a plum aficionado you are, but you can get really ripe plums or really underripe plums. And to me, this tastes like juicy, about to jump out of their skins plums. Like you wait another day, it might be too late to eat it. Yeah. This is, we do a lot of Tempranillo here in Spicewood. We grow it ourselves in 3 different locations, or 2 different locations now. We have 5 other people, I believe, that grow it for us. So we love Tempranillo. Thank you, Spain. Shout out. Anyways, what do you think? Have you had this one before?
Oh, yeah.
Have you? Okay. Yeah. Well, we've had some wine.
Yeah, but I know how much. I know this is your go-to.
So you just don't say anything bad about it, right?
Oh no, it's easy. This is the one of the bottles you would never give me.
No, I gave you other Tempranillo. It's just not this Tempranillo. No. I can drink all of that. I'm probably
I might as well.
We don't know. All right, what do we got any questions out there for some Tempranillo? Anybody enjoying this wine? Is anybody not enjoying this wine? That's impossible.
Everyone is enjoying it. What would you pair with the Tempranillo?
Well, this Tempranillo I would pair with a pork in a hot summer day. But if you wanted to eat some food, no, it's not. We only went about 11 months on the oak, 12 months, so it's not this long, extended kind of food wine. You open this, the flavors pop. I actually had a writer here today. We were talking about how wild this tastes. It's got these brambly strawberry, plum. But it's more like fruit that you would pick from, my grandmother had this huge strawberry patch out in Oklahoma, and some years it was manicured, and some years she just was too busy to let it go. And you would go taste in those years that she didn't manicure, and it was going to have mild flavor to it. It's not quite as sweet, and that's what I get out of that a lot. I'm a sucker for strawberries. That's why I like Grenache also. Thank you, Rosé. But to me, that really goes. And what I would do with this is lean meats. I would do venison. I would do. We always love to talk about this venison pot pie that a chef made for us a couple years ago. That creamy white sauce with the flakes and all of the lean meat. But I can really eat anything with Tempranillo. Probably the most common would be paella. If you can find somebody that can make you paella amazingly, then you should probably have this wine with paella. But this wine really serves well. I think it's versatile. I think you can have it on the porch with charcuterie boards and cheese and bread and olives and do that little Spanish tapas stuff. Or you could have a big steak. You could maneuver this wine and really tame it and configure it to who you're having dinner with.
Yeah, it's great. I might have to take a bottle of this one.
Well, that's okay. Luckily, I'm gonna let you take that bottle that's open home right there, so don't drink too much of it tonight, and you can enjoy it with your wife when you know.
I might just enjoy it all.
Well, that's true. Well, she might want you just to bring rosé.
I'll do that. There you go.
All right.
Solved all my problems.
All right, Ron, we have another question for you. We have a couple.
What we got?
Is the 2017 from a specific vineyard or is it blended?
It is. It is from John Frieson's vineyard up in Seagraves. He's between Seminole, Seagraves, and Welch, and kind of up in there in the south part of the High Plains. Gorgeous vineyard. We actually, Todd and Reagan, our winemakers, about 5 years ago, were driving up to West Texas, trying to find some new fruit. We were opening the new winery, Ron Yates, and we were trying to find new growers for us that we could meet, learn about, and we called John. And John was surprised to have us because nobody had called to talk about his fruit. Everything was in second year. When we saw it, we took all the fruit. I believe he has 11 acres planted at the time in the second year, so really not even really usable fruit yet. And he did such a good job, we took it all. Over at Yates, we get Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Tempranillo from us. This particular version is at Spicewood because in 2017 we had a whole bunch of it, and we did an entirely different fermentation than the one we made for Yates. This was done in plastic bins with not temperature control. With Todd might have to correct me, but I believe this was native yeast fermentation. I might be wrong on that, but it was just done in fun stuff. Only spent about 11 months in it, so it wasn't that huge duration with all the really ageability. It was more just let's get out, let's have fun with it, and we've got it. John is one of the great growers in the Hill Country, and we are really excited to keep making him grow great fruit for us.
We have another question.
Another question?
Yeah, and this one's for Graham.
Yeah.
Graham, when do you think you're going to be writing a song about Tempranillo for Ron?
Maybe later tonight. That's another way to get into that bottle.
I like that question. And Graham's been Graham, for a long time, Graham's done Saturday afternoons out here. Kind of we love to have Graham when he's available. Graham does all kinds. Talk about some of the songwriting stuff that you've been doing, some of the European stuff. That's always really cool.
Yeah, well, I've been coming out here for, it's been over 10 years.
It has been. I'm glad you're still hanging out with me after 10 years. Most people
Yeah.
don't do that.
I know, I have the same problem. Yeah, a few years ago, actually for the past 5 years, I've been the program director for a nonprofit called House of Song. And we work with 33 and counting countries. We bring artists to Austin and to Northwest Arkansas and pair them up with people who live there. Or a few times a year, we'll do these songwriter summits where we bring people from all around the world. We'll all live together in a big house, and they'll write songs. I'll pair them up with each other and mix and match. And it usually yields about 20 to 30 songs per week. And then we'll go and record them, and then we'll take them to a showcasing festival, and I'll play all this brand new stuff that was written a few days before. So, and then in 2017, I just found pictures. Actually, we had some people from Senegal, I think, it's a kora player and his wife, and a German guitarist.
That was a great day. I told you,
I think it was the last time I came.
you were like, just spread them out. And I was like, man, just spread them out. Do what y'all do. Get it. And I'm walking around and I turn a corner out in the vineyard and there's two people writing songs. I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, no, do it. It's fun. It was a fun day. I forgot about that. That was, man, we're getting old.
I know. Look at my big beard was dark when this thing started.
I wasn't even capable of growing facial hair when I started. That's not true.
I think my beard was darker when COVID started.
Yeah.
Just staring at my walls and thinking,
It's making a change.
yeah.
All right. Well, if we have some happiness in conclusion in the Tempranillo, we're ready to move to the good guy. All right. Perfect. Let me enjoy this last little sip here.
Hey, Ron, while you're doing that, what is it about Texas that makes such good Spanish reds?
It's because I live in Texas. Oh, wait. You mean the state? Oh, no. So that was one of the things about living in Spain. I had the really good fortune I want to date myself, in 1999 of having to go and get my Spanish credit so I could graduate from the University of Texas. Apparently that's a hard thing to do now. You have to be like academically renowned to get into UT, and back then they let me. I don't know what happened with that, but thank you, Texas. Tempranillo, it's really hard to explain for me. I fell in love with Tempranillo there, and that the family we lived with the first summer there, one of their sons was a grape grower, and they had a vineyard up in a region right near, it's called Toro. It's right near Ribera del Duero, so a little farther north. If you're looking this way, northwest of Madrid. I went up there and spent some time, and it was rolling hills, granite and limestone and clay soils. It was hot. The river ran through it, and it just reminded me. It was a little cooler at night. They were a little higher in elevation, but the land reminded me of Texas and the hard, stubborn people coming from a family of ranchers and knowing, hard scrabble folks. It was the you tell us we can't do it, and we're going to show you we can do it kind of attitude that I grew up with and that were around. It was kind of pervasive there, and I really enjoyed. I don't know, as a guy from Horseshoe Bay, Kingsland, Texas, on Lake LBG that had been to the border towns in like Colorado, I had never got to experience foreign countries like that, and it was amazing. And I would love to say that like there was one thing, but I think the total the Spanish culture and me being 20 years old and just the point in my life, I just fell in love with it. And also Tempranillo, a good bottle of Tempranillo was about the same price as a bottle of water. So as a 20-year-old, that really helped. And the Spanish beer was so bad. If you've ever had Cruz Campo, and you had to have like a bottle of wine or two before, and like the family we lived with, her name was Nieves. I think she was 70 or 72. And if you went home at midnight, she was still out. She'd beat you. So, and she would make fun of you and let you know. Not that I ever went home at midnight, but if she did, she would make fun of you. And so you kind of learned, like, I gotta hang out and do this all night. It's part of the culture. Part of the culture was really rough as a 20-year-old. But we started drinking Tempranillo beforehand, and because you could have, after a couple glasses of Tempranillo, you could have 17 beers for the rest of the night if you needed to. And that's really how I kind of got into it. And then it was not a projection of like, oh, this is what I want to do later on. It was like, this feels like the hill country. These people feel like Texans. I feel at home here, even though it's in another country with another language. We did not have the wine culture, even though shout outs to the Allers and Fall Creek, my cousins, that we grew up going there and learning about wine. But I didn't really, like, it didn't, you didn't have wine at mom and dad, and my sister and I did not have wine in our dinners in Kingsland, Texas in 1983, like they did in Spain with whole families. And it was, apart, even little kids got a little bit of wine and enjoyed it. I thought that the community that wine created was really cool. Yeah. All right, last one here. This is the 2016 Good Guy. For all of those folks that have been here before and know the story, I won't subject you to it. My grandfather was a very important person in my life, and apparently when I was a little kid, I could not pronounce the word grandpa. And whether or not it was Good Guy, that's what he said it sounded like. And I was the first grandchild, so Good Guy became the name of in 2007. We could afford the 2 planted vineyards and the winery, but not the 2 cleared pieces of adjoining land. And my grandfather, we were so excited that his long-haired hippie grandson was not going to be out late night in Austin in the music business like he had been, and would be so tired after working in the vineyard all day that he wouldn't be able to go to Austin and get in trouble at night. So I'm glad he was misguided a little bit in what I was doing, but he loved the agricultural side of it, and so he bought the 2 pieces of land and gave us a 99-year lease for $1 back in 2007, and we've been making the Good Guy in honor of him since 2011. One of my favorite blends, even if it was named after somebody else, I'd still love it. This particular iteration is 40 some odd percent Tempranillo, 17% Graciano, which is another Spanish grape that we love out here, 17% Merlot, 17% Cab Sauv, and finishing up with just a little bit of Syrah. This gets to spend about 18 or 19 months in oak. So this has a very long duration, very Spanish in the way we make it. A lot of time in oak, a lot of time in the bottle. It's going to be a little more savory. It's not going to be quite as fruity as the 17 we just tried. There's going to be more of that leather sage and tobacco, but in the mid palate as well, cherries, ripe figs, some plums like you were talking about earlier. Now that I told you everything you should taste, what do you taste?
That's a good question.
Mustard.
Mustard.
No. I don't know. You do the right though. You do right. You put your nose in there. My wife's always like, "Get your nose out of the glass."
I'm just trying to.
Don't watch me, man. You learn some bad habits that way. No. So the 2016 actually is a little more Todd and Brad rate. We got a little more ripe in 2016 than we normally do. So the sugar level was a little higher in the fruit, meaning that a little higher alcohol, but also a little more juicy fruit mid palate, a little more fruity in the wine, and a little less of that kind of. I mean, it's still there, the leather, the sage, tobacco, the savory notes, but it's not just knocking you out like some of our good guys in the past. It's trying to get a little more fruit in there.
Can I ask you what the leather and sage and tobacco? I mean, I can pick up on this leather. I can see that.
Yeah, sour leather.
Where does that come from?
So that's just Tempranillo, right? That's just part. Tempranillo is a very so you have the realm of all these different flavors. Tempranillo a lot of times can have stewed tomatoes. That's part of that nature of the grape. It has more of those savory elements. Now, the more ripe you get it, like the good guy, like we do kind of in the New World, you tend to get more fruit, strawberry, cherry. But a lot of the Spanish, they'll keep it at 12.5% alcohol, very lower in alcohol, and it's a lot of that time it's more than savory notes. And so Tempranillo to me tends to play better with food because this Tempranillo, like I said, but this really some beef ravioli or some ragu or stuff that really can help bring out those flavors. This is much more of a food wine, and that's kind of Tempranillo tends to be. Although Tempranillo, you can go to the grocery store and buy $10 Tempranillo or $300 Tempranillo in Spanish, much like Texas right now. A lot of varying quality. You can get really good ones for really cheap, some not so good ones for really expensive. So it's Tempranillo sometimes can be a crapshoot unless you buy Spicewood Vineyards Tempranillo. It's never a crapshoot. So Tempranillo is there's a lot of people that would argue that there's other grapes in the state like Morvet or Tannat or things that do better, but I'm biased. We will live and die with Tempranillo, and I think it makes really great wine.
It's great.
Yeah, thanks. Any questions out there?
We do have questions. What are the differences between the 2014, the 2015, and the 2016 that Lloyd Norris has stored?
It's a great question, Lloyd. So as we have grown, Todd, our winemaker, came with us in 2012. So that was the first season, and as he is kind of native Texan that was spent 12 or 13 years in California, as he's kind of morphed and changed and figured out his philosophy for making wine in Texas versus making wine in California, the real difference has been the ripeness level. We have pushed the ripeness just a little bit more each year. A little bit higher. The sugar level gets a little bit higher. So that does a couple things. It makes, like we were just talking about, it makes the wine a little more fruity in the mid palate. Brings up the sugar level, which brings up the alcohol. So you get a little bit higher alcohol. But we've also started aging a little bit differently. 2014, I believe, was only about 12 or 13 months in oak. 15 was 25 months. So it was over 2 full years. So building tannins, building structure, all that good thing. 2016 was kind of a midway. We went about 18 or 19 months. We're kind of trying to pull it down a little bit, find that sweet spot, and trying to be happy with our ripeness. Yeah. Cheers, yeah. I hope everybody out there is enjoying all these wines. I know I have. Where are we sitting with time, ladies?
We have one more real good question.
What's a good question?
So y'all have great hair. How do you not get your hair in the wine?
Well, I braided my stuff up earlier. This is all mine. So this is how we-
Can we get a braid flip?
I don't know how to do that.
Just flip it back.
I don't know. I think I'm old.
It's too long.
Old.
It's too long. So you're a Reds fan, correct?
I am.
You're a Reds fan.
Yeah,
And are you an Ohio native? Is that right?
Formative years in
Okay.
Cincinnati.
You were in New Hampshire were you born?
No, all in the Midwest.
Okay. So one of my questions I was going to ask you earlier before we got into the wine tip, but we were too advantageous about drinking. What brought you? Like I know growing up here and the love that I have for this part of the world, music that I know we don't have very similar music tastes, but I felt always lucky to lie to my parents, and I was going to Lickenbach or lie going, hey, you can't drive to Austin when you're 16, but the backyard was not Austin. So I could go see Willie Nelson or Robert Earl or Guy Clark and do all those things. So I know you have an affinity for some of my favorite songwriters. What was it that kind of focused you and made you, because that was a big leap to head this way. What was it that brought you here?
Well, part of it, honestly. A lot of the writers that I really liked were from here or from around here. Towns Van Zandt was already passed away by that time, but I had gotten a record called Wishbone, the Slate Leaf record. Those growing wines hit me too, and then I just started bothered his wife. He was playing in Pittsburgh. I was living about 80 miles from Pittsburgh. Pestered her. She didn't know me at all, and so they gave me the opening game at this club, the Club Cafe. And when we went, I decided, I was like, I'm moving to Austin. And I told them that. And that was really about it. And then I was in Newport Folk and bumped into them again. Are you moving to Austin? Yeah, totally. So we got an apartment online and didn't know anybody down here. And we hit the jump and then ended up hooking up with, he got a hold of me 2 days after I got here. But then another guy, the guy who kind of got me started was named Todd Snyder. I saw him play when I lived in LA.
Hey, train song, man.
Yeah, and that's a Fred Eagles movie.
Yeah.
But he does it when I live in
Well, I know he didn't write it, but every time I see Todd, one of my favorite shows of my entire life was 1996, 95 maybe. I was like 16, and my mom and dad was like, "I have a date. I'm gonna take this girl to the backyard. We're gonna see Todd Snyder and Robert Earl Keen."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Cool." And I got there, and they were there, like season. I was like, "Oh, they're right next to me. I bet that girl's happy to be here." But I like Todd Snyder was amazing. He was a big Jerry Jeff guy. We were lucky enough to get to see
And he's
him.
a big red wine drinker.
I tried to get him to come drink wine with me, but apparently, I need more beer money. What's that song? E-double-E-double-R.
And that guy, he's like, yeah, any better, man. He'll take a bottle of red wine on stage and it won't be there.
That's cool. I like Todd Snyder.
Yeah.
Well, cool. How are we gonna run out of time, ladies?
We're good. If you
We're
want to
good.
play, you can keep chatting if you want, or you can play some more songs.
Well, I'll tell you what, let me ask Mr. Graham a couple more questions, and then we'll get Graham to finish out a couple more songs. I'm having a good time. I hope everybody else is. So it's been what, 4 months now, because you do a good bit of, normally when things are going well, you play a lot. You play a lot downtown. So not just for yourself, but what's being done? Is there any? How are musicians making money right now? How are y'all living? What are you doing?
Well, a lot of them are. Another $1,000 for qualifying musicians. Right now, a lot of people are doing live streams, taking donations. But really, a lot of people are selling stuff. Like, they're trying to be creative. It's interesting that,
Like doing wine tastings and.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've never done this.
Because we're innovators.
Yeah, well, I would misquote the common phrase, but invention is the result.
I tried.
Or something like that.
I tried to do that one today and screwed it up.
I always screw up.
Yeah, mother's incessant invention.
Yeah, I'm the worst. I'm the worst with common phrases. But I don't know what people are doing. A lot of people are waiting to see what happens and hoping. Some people were able to collect unemployment if they were I'm lucky that I've got my nonprofit job and we've had to shift everything. Like usually I would be bringing international artists here or helping export artists to other places, producing shows, producing a studio. None of that can happen right now. So one thing that I've been doing is we've gotten some grants in Arkansas at least to provide people with streaming tools, helping them boost their internet speeds, getting them lights and backdrops and webcams. Because I think that, like it or not, this sort of thing is probably going to be here to stay for a while, and helping people turn their homes into a venue. That's been what I've been doing a lot.
That's actually great. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of it yet, but we're moving into doing tastings at people's houses and doing virtual tastings and all those things that you can do to be present, but be safe, but still be present.
Yeah, people want to be safe, but they want to feel connected to something. I think the biggest thing with live performance or going out, coming here to share, it's about community and it's about being a part of something. Whether whether it's an outright thing, but you want to feel involved and feel included. So, I think things like this is great. I'm having a good time. So.
We don't do it. You and I have not done a lot in our lives that we don't. And I think that maybe is one bit of it. I've not done a lot of things in my life that I don't have a good time. Yeah, I tried. That's been most of like I do have closed-toed shoes and pants on tonight. So for those of y'all that know me, I know it's a strong departure. I got it in. I was told, my wife told me not to let my toes show. All right, so we're ready for a couple more songs? Sure, let's hit it. We'll be right back, guys. Let's do some music.
Come with me, won't you?
Indeed, we will.
I had a few things mapped out that I was going to play now. After talking to Ron and having, some wine, maybe we'll play something else.
Decisions.
Play a Todd Snyder song. Actually, this is one that I've been playing for a long time, and it was written about a place not too far from here. This is called The Ballad of the Devil's Backbone Tavern. Devil's Backbone is out off of 290, I believe. So it's a little different direction I got to turn to come here, but it's a pretty good tune. Ron and everybody here at Spicewood's always been so kind to me, and honestly helped me pay my bills for years coming out here on Saturdays. It's a lifesaver. So thanks again for having me. Let me turn on the guitar. Oh, Miss Virgin Tilly bought the shack out in the hill. Never made it no money for, but it paid off all her bills. No, she must have been 80 years old. Her heart was warm, beer was cold. Gave away more than she ever sold. She's smiling all the time. Used to sing off in the corner every Friday night. There's a loud crowd of cowboys and bikers and barroom fights. They've been drinking beer, carrying on. I want to listen to one of my songs. Oh, Miss Virgin sang along, said she knew them all by heart. Then one night after closing, she poured me a beer. Come on, sit down by me, son. I got something you need to hear. Said life ain't easy, getting through it, but it's gonna make things tough on you. But I can tell you right now, if you did what you do, they'll never get you down. Saying life's too short to worry, life's too long to wait. Life's too short not to love everybody, and life's too long to hate. Well, a lot of people act all the time, try to say what they can all make it die. Not me, no sweetie, no, I ain't got the time. I seen old Virgin, must have been about 10 years. Been bumming around this country, singing my songs for tips and beers. Nights are long, the driving's tough, the hotel's stinking, the pay sucks. I can't live without doing nothing, so it never gets me down. Saying life's too short to work, life's too long to wait. Life's too short not to love everybody, and life's too long to hate. Well, a lot of men happy, act all the time, try to take a nickel off, make it die. Not me, no sweetie, no, I ain't got the time, no, I ain't got the time. Thank you. One thing I did pretty soon after we all went into lockdown was I got out like old hard drives and a couple old laptops and tried to find some old songs. And I found this one, just the lyrics to it, and it was written, I dated it, and it was written in 2011. And I kind of remembered it, and I know I wrote it, but then I started playing it again. I was like, okay, maybe this is something. So here's a new old song. When you walk alone over broken glass, stone, and the road is looking rough up ahead. Keep your heart inside my mind, hoping that you'll find all the beauty life has ceased to show you yet. You cross the hill, I'll be lying where you left me still. I'll hold the fort till I have to go. If I move away, I'll be thinking about you every day. I'll wonder where your wheels are gonna roll. If your skies grow gray, they're bound to brighten up one day. The sun has got its way coming out. I've seen that diamond smile, let it carry you a million miles. You'll show 'em all that I have no doubt. You lose your path, and your face is falling off the map, and the folks back home forget you left it all. Starting over in a distant land, find the people that you understand. Hold the hand of whomever you might choose. You walk alone, kicking broken glass, rough up. I'll keep your heart inside my mind, hoping that you'll find all the beauty life seems to show you yet. So much beauty life seems to show you yet.
One more. One more.
All right.
Let's
Take
bequeath
it home.
this audience with some grandmother greatness.
Well, this is one I wrote like a couple weeks ago. I'll give it a shot.
This is a COVID tune?
It's a COVID special.
I
Yeah.
like it.
It's called A Lullaby for Everyone, just because that's what I typed when I had to save it on my computer. Thanks again for having me. Trying to be kind to everyone, not everyone take kind to that. Think for yourself, don't think you know everything all of the time. Try to survive when they're after you. They'll be after you sometime. Take all the shots that you choose to take, then move away for now. Appreciate the time you have, even when times are frightening. Love with your heart Don't be afraid to let it get broken into. Dreams get the best of the best of us. The rest of us don't mind. Sing to the top of your lungs, ignite. If it feels alright, sing along. I hope that the world that's left for you will show you some compassion. Try and you'll make the best of it. The rest of it will go by. The best of it will be fine. I'm glad we met. Good night.
I hope everybody's enjoyed this. I know I have. I haven't had live music like this in months. Thank you for coming out. If everybody enjoys this and we get a good response, we're going to keep doing it. We're hopefully going to make Graham more of a permanent part, not only playing some music, but hanging out and BSing with me along the way. If everybody enjoys it, we are going to set the date for the next one on September 4th. Is that the right date? September 4th? That's Labor Day weekend, but we all know that the governor is not going to let us be out having parties and having fun on Labor Day weekend. So you're going to want to be here with me drinking wine anyways, and hopefully Graham will be with us. I don't know who we're going to have yet. We haven't figured that out, but it's going to be awesome. Thank y'all from the bottom of my heart. We love and miss all of you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.